What's up, my hunting brothers and sisters? Today we're going to take a look at two brand new saddles from Latitude Outdoors. The minimalist, less expensive Maverick saddle, or the Cadillac, the big dog, basically the collaboration with TX5, the Lone Star. Which one's better? Which one should you get? Stay tuned. We're going to do a deep dive on this one. Couple exciting new saddles sitting here in front of me. The guys over at Latitude came out with their Lone Star and their Maverick saddles new for this year. To be honest, these have been sitting on my workbench for like about a month. I've just not had a time to even open them up and look at them, and seasons are upon us. So I really want to go over these two new saddles that they have. So full disclosure out of the gate, Latitude sent me these saddles. I did not pay for them. I have no professional affiliation whatsoever with Latitude. I know all the guys. I happen to run some of their gear, but I have no professional affiliation. They reached out to me and said, hey, if we send them to you, would you check them out? Would you give us your honest feedback and compare them to the other saddles that you use, which I run their Latitude, their method too. So yeah, I'll do that. So I did not pay anything for them. An exciting thing that did happen with Latitude this year is they teamed up with Matt over at TX5. So Matt has been making these great saddles at TX5 for several years. And through business decisions, they decided to team up. And as far as I understand, TX5 basically became part of Latitude, and now Matt is on their team. So his input, as I understand it, went into these saddles quite a bit. So we're going to open these up and check them out. Unboxing videos aren't that exciting, I get it, but I wanted to do this because look how tiny, this is the Maverick, look how tiny this box right here is. I mean, relative to a cell phone, look at that. That thing is absolutely dinky. And similar with the Lone Star, I mean, and cool packaging. I'm a huge sucker for packaging. I say this in any video where there's good packaging. When you've got cool packaging, it just makes your whole buying experience that much better. So we're going to unbox these and take a look at them. Here's what I'll tell you right out of the gate, couple specs. The Lone Star is more of their Cadillac single panel saddle, and the Maverick is more of a more budget friendly but streamlined minimalist type of single panel saddle. The Lone Star, again the Cadillac basically of single panels, is going to come in right at $299. So call it $300, okay, basically for the saddle, where the Maverick is going to be $199, so call it $200. So a $300 saddle versus a $200 saddle. Essentially, their saddles, they do the same thing. We'll go out in the field and see what the difference is and see if that extra $100 for the Cadillac is better, or maybe you're a minimalist or a guy on a budget, and this one right here will be the perfect saddle for you as well. Being a more Cadillac and budget rich saddle, this one's going to weigh more. It weighs in just shy of 2 pounds. The regular size is like 30 ounces. I'm looking at my cheat sheet, where the XL is right at 2 pounds at 32 ounces, where the minimalist Maverick is much lighter weight, and that is 21 ounces, and it only comes in one size. And so 1 pound, 5 ounces. So it is a lot lower weight as well. In the Lone Star, it just comes in one color, which is like a tan color, I believe. Again, I haven't opened it. The Maverick, this one I believe is the gray, but it also comes in a couple of OGs, like an OG Realtree and an OG Advantage camo. So if you're a child of the 90s who was hunting through the 90s, you remember the OG Realtrees and the OG Advantage. Kind of cool. So there's a couple options you got there. The Lone Star also, these come with their belt or their rope belt system, like Latitude's known for, and for another $29.99, so $30, you can actually pick up a belt for the Lone Star if you're a person who likes the old the Raptor buckle style of belt system on your saddle. So enough rambling. Let's open these up and let's talk about them. I'm going to start with the Maverick because it is the minimalist saddle here. Again, pretty cool packaging. You know, it's just slick. I'm just a sucker for it. Look at this. You open this thing up, boom, it's right here. Super compact. You got leg straps that come in this as well. Let's set the packaging down. Leg straps are removable with their G-hooks, which is typical of the Latitude type of system. You got one G-hook system set up on the back and two on the front. Open this thing up, and it is, as they say, very minimalist. This replaces their classic 2 saddle that they had, which was a single panel. I also have one of those. They went to some better linesman loop, as I understand it. The guys were telling me, again, you got the rope system here for your waist belt and your Amsteel rope bridge system here. You got Molly on it. This is a no-frills, super lightweight saddle. One of the cool things that they have done is they've gone to a 4-inch webbing on the tops and bottoms of these, where in the past, and most every other saddle, is a 2-inch webbing. And you know, that supposedly is going to add in comfort in distributing the load. I actually have my Method 2 sitting right here that I hunt out of quite a bit, and it's actually like, I'd say 1.5 inch webbing is all that's on this. But this has been my go-to saddle for the last couple of years. So, yeah, so very minimalistic saddle. We're going to throw this on here in a bit and see how comfortable it is. So let's compare this now to the Cadillac, the Lone Star. So a little background, the TX5, Matt had a Lone Star. He had a Lone Star 2 version, I believe. And so this would essentially be a Lone Star 3 version. His saddle system under the Latitude brand and merging the background and benefits that Latitude had done with what Matt at TX5 had done, and come up with this great Cadillac version of the saddle. So again, open it up. A lot of saddle in a small box, which is pretty amazing. In the box, you get these hip supports. I'm going to talk about those in a minute. And you get the same type of leg straps as well, just like what you got with the Maverick in there. So you have the option of running leg straps or not. Again, the same deal. It's the center G-hook and then running out the legs and then fully adjustable. So I'm going to set that aside. I'm going to set these straps aside. We'll talk about these in a second. So I've personally never ran one of Matt's old TX5 saddles. I've seen them. I've met Matt multiple times. I know guys who run them. I know they got a great reputation. So I'm looking forward to jumping in this saddle in particular. So as we pull this out, this is a much beefier saddle. Just looking at it, it's got the 4-inch strapping or webbing that goes around it for the support, just like the Maverick did. It's a little bit taller when we look at it, so it extends over the Maverick by 1 inch or so as far as in overall height. Looking at it, it's got the Molly loops. It's also got additional, so it's got the tight Molly just like the Maverick and most saddles do. And it's got the larger, looser Molly strips so you could clip carabiners on it or whatever you wanted to do on this. It's got a pleated system that not really pleated, not like pleated like Cruiser's got their one single panel that's got a big pleat that really opens up. It's got a pleat that just allows for some expansion in it, which is pretty cool. Supposedly it's pretty comfortable. Again, I've not sat in this. Now these plastic pieces right here, or I assume they're plastic or some type of, I don't know, some composite material. These actually go in, as I understand it, in these sides here. Oh yeah, there's a pocket up in here, and so you're going to slide these down in the sides, and it's going to give you hip support. So I'm not going to take the time to do that on video here, but I can see at the top, right up in here, there's an opening. Yeah, there it is. So I can slide this right down in there and put those in. Now I'll put those in before I go out in the field. So very nice looking saddle, very well built. You look at the stitching on both of these saddles and there aren't frays. Everything looks well built. As I understand it, the Lone Star is built here in Michigan, right here in the United States. The Maverick, I am not exactly sure if that is built here in the States or overseas. Yep, made in China. So the Maverick is built overseas, okay? But the Lone Star is a made in the USA, made in Michigan, as I understand, product. Same rope belt system. Again, you can swap the rope belt out with this actual buckle belt if you want to. I believe it goes in through these bands that are across the top here, and then you would untie this and pull this out. You got the same Amsteel bridge system that we've been running on the Latitudes for several years. Really nice looking linesman loops right here. They stick out and they're vertical, so they're easy to clip into. So very cool. Enough talking. I am going to take these out in the field and put them on and mess around with them for a little bit, and then we're going to kind of do a video showing you what I think about each one of them in the field. All right, so I've been debating on how to do this in the field. I've been up and down in this tree several times, just feeling things out, and I've been in a lot of saddles over the last few years, and so I know what I like and don't like. But what I'm going to do is I've got the original, well, it's the Classic 2 Latitude saddle that they no longer make. I've got my Method 2, which has been my go-to saddle for the last at least 2 full seasons, even though I've tried a few others in the middle. And I've got the Maverick, and I've got the Lone Star. So here's what I think I'm going to do. I'm going to start out with the Lone Star, their new premium single panel, and the Maverick, and then I'm going to throw on the other 2 old ones, and I'm going to kind of walk you through on each one of them what I like and what my feelings are in each one of them, if that makes any sense. The only way I really know how to do this effectively is to kind of compare, you know, everything to maybe what you're used to. Maybe you've had a Method 1 or a Method 2 or you know, whatever, or just a single panel from another brand or a double panel from another brand. I mean, I've had a bunch of them, so yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with the Lone Star here. I'm going to put this on. I'm going to jump up here only a couple of feet off the ground, just a standard tether up here. You know, again, I've done this enough. I know what I like and don't like. So I always run leg straps, whether you do or don't. That's up to you. So here we go. Okay, so here we are. We're in the Lone Star. I did put the plastic support pieces in here. You know, I think I can see where they would definitely be a benefit in some situations, probably larger guys. I think it definitely would help. To me, I probably could take them or leave them as far as that goes. This is about how I would set up, you know, my tether, forehead height, my bridge roughly this long, give or take a little bit. But overall, it's a nice feel to it. I'm a big fan of 2-panel saddles. Just get that right out of the way. I've owned several, and again, I've currently hung out of the Method 2 for the last couple of years. I just like the extra support down low. I like being able to come up and support my lower back really well. In a single panel, you don't have that flexibility. So what I'll say about this, and again, this is not my first time in this one. I've been up and down. I've had all these on and off probably 6 different times comparing them. And what I'm going to say about this compared to the others is that, excuse me, I had a coughing fit there. So, so what I'm going to say about this saddle is that relative to the others, this saddle is much stiffer and thicker than the others through the butt region and the seat region. It does have the small pleat. It probably gives a little bit, but doesn't give a ton. I mean, again, I said earlier, mentioned something like Cruiser's got the one that opens wide. This doesn't do this, but it does give a little bit of give right there. And I think they had to do that because this is such a stiffer body panel than the other saddles. I do like the 4-inch webbing relative to the old Classic 2, which is the 2-inch webbing, and even the Method 2, which is like 1.5 inch webbing. I do like that 4-inch webbing a lot. Here's what I think in comparing this, because I've been up and down many times in this one and the others comparing them. I'm wondering if this saddle might take some time to break in because it is stiffer. Right now, in my opinion, of the 4 saddles, all Latitude that I have here, this is the least comfortable for my body. That's not to say it's uncomfortable, it's not. I mean, it's comfortable. I could hunt out of this, and I'm going to hunt out of this some. I think this saddle probably is going to excel for larger guys to start out with, because it is stiffer and it is bigger depth-wise. When you walk in the woods in this thing, you can feel it hanging down and feel this stiffer panel against the back of your legs. That may drive some people crazy. Probably me a little bit. I tend to wear mine in when I walk, and it's one of the things I love about my Method 2 is I can bring it all the way up. But that being said, I think that this would be a great saddle for larger guys. I think it's a great saddle for anybody. I think my gut tells me that this saddle needs to be broken in. I think you need to wear this saddle a bunch and get it broken in and get it formed to your body and really get used to it. And it's not uncomfortable at all. It's just, I like a little more lower back support. So for me to pull this up to have some lower back support, which I can do, then I sacrifice underneath. Not that I'm gonna fall out, but it feels like I'm falling out. Okay, so I'm like, okay, now I got back support, and I kind of just feel like I'm just kind of like in limbo down low. Again, I'm used to a 2-panel saddle. It's what I hunt out of the bulk of the time. So when I bring it back down more into something that's a little more comfortable under the back side of my legs going into my butt, I feel like I lack a little bit of back support. Now, you could get a back band if that's what you want, and you could mitigate that problem. No shame in doing that. I'm just telling you what I think. Beyond that, this is an amazing saddle. I mean, the quality is incredible. The options with all of these molly loops, this is great. You can ditch the leg loops if you want or not. That's great. You know, I think this is an amazing saddle. I just think right now for me and my body type, of the 4 Latitude saddles that I have, this to me is probably my least comfortable. However, it's the most feature-rich saddle. That being said, I am going to hunt out of this saddle some this year. I want to try and break this thing in and see what it does long-term for me. I can't do that right now. Honestly, that's a review to do at the end of the season, or even maybe next summer or sometime after you put a lot of time into this saddle. It's not uncomfortable at all. You like any saddle, you can adjust your positions here to change your pressure points and all that. This is a wonderful saddle. Right now, I think, based on what I have laying here, of the 4, is probably my least favorite of the 4. Okay, so I'm going to jump down. We're going to put on the Maverick, and I'm going to tell you my thoughts on the Maverick. Okay, we got the Maverick on, and before I even tie into this tree, again, I'm only 2 feet off the ground. Here's what I want you to understand about this saddle right here. When you put it on, this is hands down probably the lightest feeling saddle that I've ever had on my body. Super light. You actually, even though it hangs down, not as far as the Lone Star, but farther than my Method 2 when my Method 2 is all the way up, you don't have it when you're walking hitting you back here. Another thing that you can do on the saddle, but you have to disconnect the leg loops to do that, which is a little tricky for me to do. Disconnecting leg loops when you're wearing a saddle is never a good idea, but I went up here and did it. Okay, so what you can do is, ignore these, I'm gonna tuck these up right now, but if you were walking in, you can take this entire saddle and you can fold it up under itself. So now you walk in with something that's got literally no footprint. Again, ignore the leg loops. You would probably not have them, or you would roll them up better, but I just did this while I'm wearing it right here. So now wearing in, this actually has the profile more of like a Method 2 when I'm walking in, with the bottom panel all the way up overlapping. One of the things I love about the Method 2 over other 2-panel saddles is the way that bottom panel overlaps the top panel and gets that profile down. So it's not smacking you in the back of the legs when you're walking. So that is a really cool feature of this saddle. It almost feels like you're wearing nothing. So let's get this thing set back up. All right, so I got my leg straps reconnected. Again, leg straps are optional. I personally like them. Some guys don't like them. Here's the deal about using saddle equipment. Don't let anyone tell you that their way is absolutely the right way. I mean, unless it's just blatantly unsafe.
You get guys that say, use this, don't use that. If you do it this way, you're doing it wrong, whatever. Figure out what works for you. For me, I like leg loops. Some guys don't. That's why they're detachable. It's pretty amazing. All right, so we're going to strap in. Again, this is the Maverick. Now, here's what I'll tell you. While this is a little less distance from top to bottom than what I showed you in the Lone Star, you've got so much flexibility in this fabric that this saddle, for me, conforms to my body, my backside, my butt, better than what the Lone Star did. Again, maybe after a long break-in period with the Lone Star, maybe I might think differently. For me, this is a more comfortable saddle than the Lone Star. Because of the 4-inch banding, it is a more comfortable single panel saddle for me than the original or the Classic 2 that they've discontinued. The Classic 2 was a nice single panel saddle. I've not been a fan of single panel saddles for a long time, and I've owned many. I can hunt out of them and occasionally did my Classic 2, as well as some other brands. But this is a single panel that I could see myself hunting quite a bit out of, especially if you're going to be traveling some distances and whatever, due to the lightweight. It's a very minimalistic design. I really like it. The price point, $199, are you kidding me? Go look at everybody else's saddles out there on the market. Good price. I gotta say that I did not expect this with this saddle. I'm a Cadillac guy. I love awesome gear. I like expensive gear. I like nice gear. It's a flaw in my system. I drive expensive vehicles. I live in an expensive house. It's just the way I roll. I was really like, yeah, I want that Lone Star. That honestly, for me, I'll take the Maverick over the Lone Star. That's me. Again, no shade being thrown at the Lone Star. Excellent saddle. I think it'd be great for a lot of guys, as I said earlier, and I think it's a good saddle. Everybody's got a different body type. So there you go. All right, so what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna throw on the Classic 2 and give you my thoughts of this compared to the Classic 2. I do like this better than the Classic 2. All right, Classic 2. So you're probably saying, well, Derek, they don't sell this anymore. Why is it even relevant? Why are you comparing it? Because I think there's a lot of guys that have the original Classic and the Classic 2 and might be wondering, well, why should I get a Maverick or a Lone Star over the Classic 2? For me, again, I think it's the flex in the backside, even though on the Classic 2 it had these wide strips up here. For me, it's more comfortable than the Lone Star. However, I think because of just those 4-inch straps alone over these 2-inch straps, the Maverick gives you more support and is more comfortable. I can feel it immediately when I put it on, and this is not an uncomfortable saddle. For a single panel saddle, I think this is very comfortable. It's not as streamlined as the Maverick. It doesn't fold up under itself. That would be a benefit to the Maverick. It's a good saddle, definitely. This one had the horizontal loops, where the new Mavericks had the vertical loops. I think the vertical loops are a little easier to get in and out of, just my opinion. So I would say of the 3 single panel saddles, for me personally, I would rank the Maverick as #1 for me. I would rank the Lone Star and the Classic 2 as maybe a tie, maybe even put the Lone Star over the Classic 2, simply because I think that saddle, when given time to get broken in, will excel over the Classic 2. Maybe the Maverick, but I think they're a little bit two different things. One's heavier, it's got more feature rich. The other's a minimalist, lightweight saddle. So for me, I'm going with the new Maverick as my #1 single panel of the Latitude saddles. The Lone Star, because I just think there's so much potential there. I think it's got to get broken in. I'm going to go with that too. And the Classic 2 as #3. And that's no shade on the Classic 2. If you've got a Classic 2, want to keep hunting it, do. But if you're thinking about upgrading, I don't think you can go wrong. I definitely know you cannot go wrong going to the Mavic. If you just like the simple format, if you want something more feature rich and you're willing to like break it in, maybe you've got bigger boned or bigger body, maybe the Lone Star is definitely the saddle for you. So I'm going to throw on the Method 2 and give you my thoughts on it relative to those, because the Method 2 still is made. All right, so here we are, we're in the Method 2. Now this is my personal one. It's all kitted out because this is what I spend the bulk of my time hunting in. I got a dual gear hoist here, so ignore this on the side. But if I pull this away, you can see what I mean about the small profile and footprint, because the bottom panel, which is magnetically attached and drops down, comes up and it overlaps that the top panel, and the magnets hold it up, and so you got this low profile. I love that. The magnets are awesome. If I had a complaint about them, they could be a little stronger, maybe a little bigger, like in surface area size, because sometimes it's kind of, you fiddle around trying to get them lined up. Is it a deal killer? No, it is what it is. I mean, you're in the dark, you're hunting, whatever. But I love the fit of this saddle. I love how it just doesn't take up a lot of space up and down. Walking in, this thing's just a dream. So let's hook up. And if I were gonna hunt this, I mean, if you wanted to hunt it in single panel mode, you could. However, it feels like you're falling right out the bottom of this. Okay, so, you know, again, the beauty of the magnets is there's no funny clips or anything to undo, you know, and I've messed with some other 2-panel saddles and they're great. But a lot of them have clips you got to mess with, or they got slide buckles or whatever. And on this, there is nothing on this. I'm actually, I think my bridge is a little shorter right now on this, and it's set up pretty locked in because that's where I like it. So for me, this is the ultimate in comfort. This saddle is so comfortable. So for me and my style hunting and my body, I'm going to take this over even the Maverick, but that's just me. I like a 2-panel. If I had any suggestions for Latitude, would be A, the larger magnets, maybe a little more powerful magnets, and exploring the wider webbing like they've done in the Mavic and in the Lone Star. I think that could really bring this product to life. I mean, that would be, if you want to go with a Method 2.2 or Method 3, or however you want to call it, whatever numbering system you want to go, that would be killer. I think you could take this product to an even higher level, maybe somehow incorporate some other cool features, you know, that say Matt comes up with in his knowledge and you know, and everything he was doing before. But I think if they went to those wider straps, you could take this to a level that I don't think anybody could touch it, in my opinion. So, but for me, again, I'm a 2-panel saddle guy. So I'm going with the Method 2 as my number one, what I'm going to choose. But of the 2 new ones, give me that Maverick. Give me the Maverick. That is a bad saddle. I mean, that is a badass saddle. The Lone Star, very, very nice. Again, I think it needs some break-in time, but that's just my opinion. So jump down and we're going to just do a quick wrap-up. All right, so if you stayed with me this long in all my rambling, I think you know my opinions. But I think it's important that you compare things. You're spending your hard-earned money. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of opportunities unless you're blessed to be close to, say, a Mobile Hunter Expo or one of these other saddle hunting outdoor events to try on a lot of gear, because a lot of stores don't offer many brands. Maybe they got one brand or whatever. Of the new single-panel saddle Latitude, or single panel saddles that Latitude carries or offers for this year, you can't go wrong with either one. You really can't. My choice is the Maverick though. $199, very minimalist, those 4-inch wide bands at the top and bottom. Everything about this thing is so lightweight. It folds in half. You can walk in with it folded in half. Again, you got to undo the leg straps to do that. It's so comfortable for a single panel saddle, and I'm a 2-panel saddle guy. Like I said, this is a great purchase, a great saddle. And this is going to be my recommendation to guys that get a lot of people now say, hey, I'm looking for something, I want to get started, I don't want to break the bank. Boom, here you go. Even those who want, I'm going to be like, dude, try this saddle out. The Lone Star, excellent. It is very stiff. I think it's going to be amazing when it gets broken in, but that's going to take months and months of use to get this thing broken in my opinion. I like it. I want to love it. I like it. I am pretty close to in love with this. Actually, for a single panel, I am in love with it. I'm truly, though, head over heels for my Latitude, my Method 2. So anyways, just that, saying, I mean, that's my go-to. Still, I'm hunting out of both of these some this year. We're going to see where it goes from here, but there you go. Again, thanks for putting up with my rambling, but I just think it's important. People want to know the details before they spend this kind of money. So, all right, as always, God bless, stay safe. It's a new day in the outdoors. Oh, and thank you to my friends at Latitude for sending all this stuff over to me. Check them out at latitudeoutdoors.com, I believe. Thanks.